your life. Remember that program? So May Brown, this is your life. At the top here, I'm not going to read all the details. First of all, most of you know it. I didn't, and I had to sort of contact different members of the family going, and when was it they married, and who, and where did they meet, and all the rest of it. So anyway, this is my grandmother in a kiltie. These are the early days. These are the early days here with Nettie. Here you got Nettie running you around on the back of a motorbike or a bike, I don't know what it is actually. A scooter, thank you. Was it? So you got Maimie and Nettie here as well, and then Grandpa in the army. Grandpa came to Glasgow when he was 12 years old. Now, if there are any errors, I do apologise. I wasn't born then. They used to see each other while travelling into Glasgow by train for work when he was working with his brothers. Rowing regattas were the order of the day. Grandpa and his brothers used to win lots of medals, and they would hand them over to kin. But hang on, where's mine? I never got one. Maimie and Nettie used to provide Maimie and Nanny used to provide the tea and cakes at the end of a very busy day. This is so you got Grandpa and Charlie, and Grandpa and Willie. All right. After getting married on the 14th of January, what? I've not been drinking. Honest. 14th of January 1939, she looked after Nanny's house in Meekwood Road. She described her first week as wife and housewife, got house all clean and shiny, and set the table for dinner. Then bought some fresh flowers for the table. Then she sat and waited for Leonard to come home, only to tell him that after buying the flowers, daffodils I believe, she had no money left for food, so poor old Grandpa had to go out and buy some fish sappers.
Where did you find that story?
Your eldest daughter remembers a lot of it.
Not exactly.
Oh, okay. Where did I get all that from then? Summer holidays were spent on Bogany Farm, outside Rossi Isle of Bute, at Nanny's hut, Rest and Be Thankful, and Duck Your Nut too. My grandpa used to do a lot of...
That was mine.
Yeah. I was there. Grandpa used to do a lot of sketches and things. I think you probably already knew that anyway. This is them going to the hut, dragging Jessie behind them. Not Jessie, sorry, Aunt Sis behind them. This is a time when they were travelling Europe, and May's here saying, "Oh, I wonder if Leonard's going to be all right." Is to heat up the mince. Maimie had a thing for travelling and would often venture off to the shops. No, not the shops on the corner, the shops in Europe. Where, well, there was the Pyrenees and Andorra and through France. Another trip was Bilbao and a 2-day cruise to Portsmouth and then Hull and Glasgow. Skipped off to Brussels too. One of the times that when they went to Morocco, we actually saw photographs over there. While she was searching for souvenirs, Grandpa was offered a fortune in gold for Maimie, but she turned it down because he knew she was worth her weight in gold and more. Leonard was often left at home to heat up the mince, and he did very well with Elsie's next door. Here you go. They all lived at 140, so did Aunt Nettie too. Yeah. She moved in to live with Maimie and Grandpa when her husband passed away, and never left. She would drive us all here and there, and would often pay for family get-togethers. So you got Nettie and Jimmy, then my mum when she was a baby, and my mum, Loretta, in London. These are the only photographs I had of Leonard and Elizabeth. I tried to get one from Tom for Sheila, but he didn't manage it, so she'll have to put that one in later.
It's on Facebook.
Sure. She never had any problems mixing up names or calling them to the dinner table, because all she had to shout was "Liz, Sheila." There were some testing times too. One that comes to mind was the day that 2 of her children involved in the same car accident, which left Len with a few screws loose. Elizabeth was told she would never walk again, but she proved the doctors wrong, because she always did things her way. Her teddy bear also ended up in hospital, had a few x-rays and a full body cast too, which I do believe is probably kicking around here somewhere. Loretta married Gordon Haig on the 7th of August 1965. A do-it-yourself wedding it was. As all the Browns went to town on Operation Wedding, Maimie and her sewing machine started in March and set about making the bride's dress with train, a going-away costume, 2 dresses with matching jackets, 3 summer dresses, 4 blouses, and a 3-tier wedding cake. Remember that?
And the dress was used again.
That's right, the dress was used again.
And it still fits.
Oh, that's not nice.
That's both of us.
Yeah. Sheila and Elizabeth helped out wherever possible. Maimie was quoted as saying, "I never thought much of the quantity while I was doing it, but when you look back at it all, it does seem quite a lot." Your Uncle Len had the sense to be in Singapore, out of the way.
I wasn't doing booty stick.
What was that?
I have no idea. Their first granddaughter, Karen Maimie, was born on 22nd June 1966, followed shortly by their grandson, Andrew Haig, born on the 10th of July 1967. For those of you wondering where she got the name Maimie, when my brother and I were old enough to voice our opinions, we would often say, "No, she's my mate. No, she's mine. No, she's my mate," until it developed into Maimie. So, this is us growing up. We then moved out to Kenya. Emigrated to Kenya in January of '68, travelling by train to London and catching an East African Airlines to Entebbe and then finally to Mombasa. First out in the bush, Ribe, for a year and a half, followed by a move to Shimolotewa, just to the north of Mombasa, with 2 kids and her sewing machine. Many a good holiday was had by all the Brown Haig clan as they came to visit the Haigs in Africa, camping holidays at Malindi, ocean sports and venturing off into the wild on safari. Even had to camp out in the ladies' toilet when the heavens opened. This is a sketch my grandpa did of Maimie and Grandpa in the queue, waiting to get on the aircraft. Then there's just some photographs which I'll leave for you guys to have a look at while you're pottering about. One of my brother's favourite memories of family on safari in Kenya was the time Maimie asked Peggy, my other Gran Haig, what's a pole-pole? A pole-pole hump on the road was a speed hump. She found out the hard way as she left her seat and hit her head on the roof. Another fond memory was the night when they all went out to the Hong Kong restaurant where Aunt Jean, Aunt Doreen, Peggy and my dad, were sampling sake wine. Boy, was there a sing-song in the car on the way home, but come to think of it, it was quite a sing-song for the whole holiday. We Are Sailing comes to mind because Aunt Jean and Aunt Doreen spent most of the time in our garden going, "We are sailing." Grandpa Brown soon found his calling as a white hunter. After all, it was better to hunt rather than be hunted. That's a sketch of his, one of his sketches. Their love for elephants was contagious. Maimie and Grandpa had quite a collection, so do the rest of the family now. Do you remember this when you're looking at what was an anthill? And you thought, "Oh, that anthill's moving." It was an elephant. One of our favourite places to eat, next to the Blue Room, was the Kayam Hotel for sodas and chapati maya. And this is a proud mum. Throwing me in the pool. Peggy, my other Aunt Gran, once wrote a poem, called it Dream Safari. This poem basically truly sums up the beauty of the place and how it captured our hearts. Did you know that, Stuart?
No.
No, I've got a copy for you. On their first trip back to UK at the age of 4, I was playing with Maimie's vast button collection when I found a gorgeous button, and off I went to find my grandmother and asked her if she could please sew a dress for that button, and she did. So you did? You did? Yeah, I just gave you a little button and you sewed a dress for me. Oh, how we love the slideshows with Grandpa and the howling Jambo. Unfortunately, he always howled at the 6 o'clock news. Unfortunately for me, I inherited the howling pets. The cat Arnie and Chaka and Tandy, the dogs. There's one of my dogs howling. After a brief stopover in Kirramure, the Hay family moved on to the Middle East, Alain. Everyone was to ask where? Oh yes, Saudi Arabia. That's Maimie in an abaya. Don't remember that. Unfortunately for Nettie and I, it was market day every day. On arriving in Spain, Aunt Jean would check for dust, as she was the only one that could reach.
I've got the code now.
Poly hump bridge. Monkey in a cage. Caught red-handed, nicked from the skip.
Still got it.
Have you? Now here I thought, well,
They
what
call
is
it
that
binning
doing
in
what
Spain.
now?
Yes,
Running off with
binning.
a box.
It's called binning in Spain.
Binning in Spain is
Binning.
Oh, well, I think
Well, if I said binning, nobody would have understood.
Well,
The thing is,
Uncle
if you-
Jimmy, it was, he acquired it.
No, we're Spanish. We bin things.
Bin.
Binning.
but,
You've got to beat the
if you can't
Moroccans
reach
at it.
in- If you can't reach into the bin, you just turn it over and it's sliding.
No,
forward.
Kathy nearly fell into the bin. For those roller blinds.
Mannequins do.
Yeah, the Moroccans.
The Moroccans do that. But you've got to try and beat them.
I'm trying to get there first.
They do that first too.
No, we do that first.
Oh, you do that before
Yeah.
you went.
You've got to walk the dog and check all the bins, see what's there.
That's
That's why
Yeah.
we've got a dog.
That's what they do down in Govan as well. They go around checking
Probably,
on
yeah.
It's called midgie rating in this country.
Now we move on to her second born, Leonard Brown. He's basically headed off to explore the world by boat when he joined the Navy on the 25th of January 1964 and never looked back. Oh, except when it came time to send his mother yet another postcard from some port or another. You should see Mamie's postcard collection because she's still got it. It's numbering in the hundreds or the thousands. I'm not sure. Your postcards.
Yes.
the postcards.
How many have you got?
Oh, I never counted them.
No.
I lost count.
I'm not surprised.
I lost count.
They're holding up the base, they're holding up the roof.
Are they? He met his match in Kathy at the Royal Navy Club in Eglinton Toll. She joined the Clanware Kill crew long enough, and they got married on the 2nd of May 1975, despite the run-in Nettie had with the bin men. I believe they were on strike at the time. They had a son called Leonard Brown.
Oh dear.
Sorry, Andrew Leonard Brown.
Andrew.
Excuse me, Andrew. I don't want the Leonard.
When he was old enough, he promptly showed everyone who was boss by whacking Grandpa over the belt on his bold heat with a tomahawk. Rubber, of course.
Made his hair grow.
No,
And then the family
was
went
wood.
down. Andrew
It
later
did.
had a son,
It did,
Scott
I did that wee
Brown,
bit.
born on the 12th of August 1999. This is actually Kathy's arm feeding her grandson a glass of wine. And it says here, mine's a white.
You just noticed the light.
Holidays in Scotland. Sorry. Holidays in Scotland meant loving the rats and barbecuing in the rain. There's you. I'm not sure what you're doing with that sausage, Mamie. Len and Kathy have since retired to Spain, and now it's holidays in Spain and they're cool for all. On Mamie's first visit, she spent more time going to birthday parties, including her own 88th. On the latest visit, she put all of us young ones to shame, straight in the pool, even though we thought it was too cold. Didn't even know she could swim, but she could. There she is in Kenya. A long time ago. And her third born was Elizabeth, who had the travel bug too. Off to Kenya she went for a while, then soon headed in direction of Canada. Elizabeth headed off to Canada in 1979, 80, we're not sure which, in search of her sister Sheila, who had left a year or two before. Her departure became known as the brain drain from Britain, and years later she ended up in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia, running her own bookshop, the Attic Owl. One of the stories that sticks out from Sheila was when they moved Moxie, her cat, to Nova Scotia. While watching the cat box travelling along the conveyor belt from the plane, she could not see anyone at the end to stop him from falling off the end. The sigh she let out when someone appeared from nowhere to pick him up. Sheila also remembers the effort they had put into making the box comfortable. Spent days on end, packing and padding, constructing a den. And when they got Marksy in it, well, all their efforts went in vain as Marksy set about destroying it.
Nappy liners or something. No, it was like
Incontinent pads.
incontinence pads. That's the word I was looking for.
Sorry.
Did you not get declawed in the end?
They sort of
Was you not
laughed at the
declawed in the
time.
end?
Yes.
Yes, he was declawed, that cat.
They sort of laughed at the time, but soon realised that they would have to resort to Valium and a pillowcase.
Valium in a pillowcase was the vet's idea.
Yeah. Jubilee Day, Nova Scotia, Queen Mum Elizabeth. Her last born was Sheila. Sheila headed to the promised land of Sun and WWF Canada with her husband Norman in November 1978 and came back with another child. Canadian holidays became the thing to do with lots of shops for Maimie and a story to be told by Grandpa or two. They promised to take us camping, but we didn't stay long. The midges were bigger than the ones in Scotland, so we soon headed back home again. My mum and I gate crashed Tom and Sheila's wedding in Scotland on New Year's Eve 1996 with the help of Ben and Kathy, with signs saying Canada sucks and what, no invite. It was a mad few hours of celebrating a wedding and then the New Year. Poor Andrew Brown had to put up with the clan as he dished up a great spread. Then Tom joined the clan and became one of the lads. My mum and I stepped over bodies strewn across the floor as we had to catch a plane the next day to UAE and Pakistan. So much for them declaring that night that they would all stay up to give us a big send-off. This was actually the other day, on your birthday. We'll take you for lunch. Cardwell Cafe witnesses a lifespan of 318 years at one sitting to celebrate Maimie's 90th birthday. And an Arabian diamond around her neck, we are attached to this. It represents the Hague's time spent in sunny Middle East. With family and friends coming from afar, Elaine, Alicante, Los Alcatraz too, not to mention Linwood, Houston, Lowestoft, Cumbernauld, Paisley, from up north and down south, and from just around the corner. You've all come together to wish you a fabulous 90th birthday, so we haven't got any drinks for you, but raise your glasses and shout, Maimie, this is your life too. Yeah.
That was fabulous.
A friend of mine is very, very talented when he writes poems. He wrote one for me, and it's called The Tale of the Merry Rose. Are you going to read it then?
No.
Mum, are you going to read it?
No. I'm not going to read it either, so don't
Okay. Travis,
Where is the Mary Rose?
Could I have a read?
Portsmouth.
No, it was at the top of the stairs.
It's at the top of the stairs.
all right.
It's been replaced
I'll not bore you
by
for much longer, but here we go.
No, that's fine.
Shepherd.
The King Henry VIII of Tudor clan in ships of oaken logs, with navy fleet sailed off to war to smash some smelly frogs. The finest vessel of them all, offset in word and prose, majestic beauty glides on wave, that galleon Mary Rose. She sank in 1545, just off the Isle of Wight. In Solent Straits she took her bow and disappeared from sight. Let's travel forth 300 years and then add 75 to 1920, March the 11th. Her namesake did arrive. To Livy McLaren and David Rose arrived the stalk of birth. Within its beak a little girl with laughter, joy and mirth. That stalk swooped down to Glasgow town and laid that bairn to rest. The March cold nipped right through his beak. He flew home in a vest. Your neighbourhood days and Scottish streets with Nettie for a friend, from adolescent youth to teens, then off to work to fend. We've heard of tales of trains and browns, those brothers from Dundee. Leonard caught that eye of yours, so you took him home for tea. Soon Leonard went down on one knee, there was no other match. The guards went down, the nets went out, both found their lifetime catch. This enigmatic couple veiled with talk of zeal and swoon, with rumours of a story plot straight from the Mills and Boone. Brown's readings turned to love sonnets to give his heart appease, from Shakespeare's eminent 18 to Browning's Portuguese. He was her tender Montague, her Bex, her Lancelot. She was his Capulet, his Posh, his Lady of Shalott. You married young to Leonard Brown of John and Margaret Kin, Glaswegians and a Dundee mix, of course you'd all fit in. That January 14th date in 39 the year, a memory that never fades, you know it crystal clear. To Meecool Road to love and live, first week newlywed. The house got clean, the table laid with flowers fresh, you've said. But daffodils are pricey, some might say, all moneys you did scupper. Your husband went to purchase food, his newlywed's fish supper. With summer holidays away down on Bogany Farm, the rest of me thankful and ducking up. 'Tis kin talk, no alarm. Young Mary loved her shopping trips to far off foreign climes, the Pyrenees, Andorra, France and Brussels, such tough times. Had times gone rough for Leonard Brown, there was a backup stand. Moroccan men would pay in gold for Mary Rose's fair hand. But as his wife went on her jaunt, he'd wave and blow a kiss, then close the door and flash a smile at her, next door, Elsie's. 4 children born to Len and May, to lay the family gene. From 40 through to 55, 2 more in between. Levetta, Jane McLaren Rose, and Leonard Buster Brown, Elizabeth Guthrie, Sheila May. At 4, you'd settle down. The dinner table was quite large to hold those plates of food. Liz, she, Len, were growing fast. Len toiled to feed your brood. Where to begin, let's reminisce at golden years gone by. We've heard discussions with your kin of stories none did lie. Of tales of car wrecks for 2 kids, Elizabeth and young Len, years past. Of wrist screws and some shattered legs and a teddy bear in a body cast. Of Cairnhill Circus 140, a warming family home. Of Aunt Nettie and your kin, warm welcomes where they'd roam. A seamstress and a 5-star chef, your talents knew no bounds. Hague wedding was a DIY, your cakes and wedding gowns. The work relentless, hard and tough, the neighbours all pitched in, but young Len was in Singapore, wise man avoiding din. The grandkids landed thick and fast when Karen and Andrew came. Their brawling soon took centre stage and Maimie got her name. Grown up, those grandkids failed to leave. Through college, we did stay. At 140, they studied hard. You took the brunt and flack. More stories told of grandkids' stunts and hatchets hitting heads. Of mince and tatties, tea and toast and kids sent to the beds. Your young Len travelled near and far to black and yellow folk. All postcards kept to brighten up the Scottish fog and smoke. A Maimie trait to travel far to foreign parts to shop. Why hang around when you can see the world at one short hop? The trips continued through the years, so daring, strong and bold. The latest dip was Spain's pool, where others thought too cold. Your life's been filled with family folk, from neighbours, kin and mates. Now grandkids turn to great-grandkids with wit and brown fair traits. Their clans spread right across the globe from US to the UAE. Your life in genes and family trees, you've raised a dynasty. So look around, enjoy your day. You're 10 years from that ton. Go swim in pools and fly in holes. Keep young, live life, have fun. Young Mary Ann, now Brownie Rose, from 1920 date. We wish you happy 90th. Go party, it's your trait. King Henry's ship was found and raised and put on show for all to display beauty, strength and guile, an image large and tall. The McLaren and the Rose clans knew, and Tudors I suppose, your prized possessions named with care, just one name, Mary Rose. There you go. This is your life.
We are the Hangers On. We are the Hangers On. Hang it on. We are the Hangers On.
Trying to get everybody in.
Last one, wait. Wait.
No, that's a video.
Right, what's next?
You're right.
Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to you.
Sana helwa yagamin. Sana helwa
We just have the list.
Right, so Sheila and Tom, you getting in behind there? Sheila? Okay, yeah.
Recording, by the way.
Yes.
Wait, no. Whoa, wait. Leonard, where are you? Oh, you come back as well? Kathy, did you want just you and I?
Sheila wants just you and I. You and you, Tom.
Okay, go.
You and I? Just you and I, darling.
That's fine, thank you.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Communication between husband and wife, please.
Hey, what time is it?
I have no idea. All right, ready, sit down. Ready, smile. Ready. Okay, Maimie, cut it. Look here. Ready, steady.
Cut it.
I think you should just
Cut the cake.
Don't you dare cut an elephant. Go for it. I love elephants.
Don't touch the elephants.
What that nail? See what? I wouldn't cut the cake.
Not a panda.
Go with the pandas.
That's fine. There you go. Right, Tom, what was it you wanted?
Don't do that.
Okay, that's all
Just take you back. Kathy.
Okay, wave to my camera. Alright, wave to my cameraman.
What's this wave? The movie one. The movie one. Thanks. Keep going.
Oh, let's see you try this one.
Where did they go?
I didn't even know.
You've done good, darling.